The game starts long before the game starts. And warm hands are faster hands. Gain the upper hand and power up your pregame warm-up with Zippo hand warmers.
A new looking TTR heading into the season. How's this roster with the new additions stack up to the old TTR?
So the newest iteration of TTR with Stellar and B-Dog. Stellar as a leader and an IGO has been taught me a lot throughout the year about strats that I just had no idea of. This new iteration of TTR definitely seems a lot more solid. I feel like we're pretty confident together and we're becoming close friends throughout the weeks. So it's going pretty well.
What Stellar and Corey bring to the team overall?
I think Corey brings a lot of ideas because he was on TSM, he was on FaZe. He's been a pro in Overwatch and has done a lot of stuff throughout his pro career. He's been really helpful as just like a teammate, as a friend. And Stellar has an idea. He always knows what he wants to do. Helps me as a Sentinel player, helped me in and out of Valorant. I think both are just really good at helping me gain the experience that I haven't had yet.
What can we kind of expect from you specifically and also the team?
I think last year we got so close to making MSI the first split and second split. We kind of choked against SR not winning our map to make it to playoffs. And I think this year we're coming in with like this vengeance of like wanting to finally make those playoffs, and we kind of just want to show that we are capable of doing it. People might think that like I'm an aimer. I'm not just an aimer, and I can actually play the role and play in the tier 2, tier 1 level.
Being a fresh roster, what's the kind of team dynamic overall right now?
I mean, we don't have a coach at the moment. We do pretty short practices just because we don't play 6 weeks or something. Don't want to get people worn out. We try to have fun, but also make it as productive as possible. That's pretty much our focus right now. As long as we can keep doing that, we've seen progress over 2 weeks, 3 weeks already. I don't see why we can be, one of the best teams in the league.
How is it integrating your thoughts into the squad?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely bring a lot of my own gameplay ideas. I mean, I learned a lot from 100 I was in a position where I could take that and learn from it. So I'm definitely being a lot more open to everyone's opinions as well. I'll take that into account every time and definitely factor that into how I manage someone. They have trusted me. Obviously I have trust in all of them. So, it goes both ways. It's very mutual.
Do you think this is the season where people kind of start to take notice of the talent on this roster?
I think people slept on TTR last year because everyone knew us as just like the free agent team that kind of won games and tried to beat SR to make it to playoffs. Right after we lost, I think everyone kind of stopped caring about the bottom 4 teams. Pretty sure everyone kind of just like forgot about us 4 and they just focused on the other main 8 teams. No, surely not.
Yeah, I think this is going to be the year where people start turning their heads and opening their eyes to some of these players again. I mean, Jax is like a little bit less experienced, but he's just as good as everyone, if not better. So, I mean, yeah, I hope people start realizing that the roster is super talented and hopefully they take notice of that.
Welcome back, everyone, to VALORANT Challengers NA. Just got to hear some words from the team of Turtle Troop, the team that we're going to be seeing next, going up against the Glazers. I love those types of videos, Vans, because there's so many different storylines kind of emerging, and that was a really nice little intro to this team and what they've been working on in this offseason.
Yeah, and I think it's definitely going to be a position just based off listening to this interview that, yes, they're going to be working and they're going to be learning, and they look a lot better now that they have Stellar strats, his brain around, his mind around the game, how Stellar calls, and they have great firepower with it. So yes, you have a nice iteration of the new Turtle Troop, but with what Stellar was saying, they're not practicing as much, right? We don't want to burn players out. So when it comes down to these type of like practicing for VCL and trying to make it through, I think it comes down to, okay, we know who we're going to try to play against. Let's try to practice against that and not try to like overcook new things. You want too much. You just want to play to like your level of comfort and just continue with that and see where that goes.
It's a marathon, not a sprint, and he definitely has the experience behind him to where if this is the strategy that he wants to employ for the team going on forward, I definitely believe in that vision. And they'll be going up against the Glazers today, and this is a team to love the logo. I think it's the funniest one out there. But Gompers, when we're looking at stop it, man, stop it. Gomps, when we're looking at this team and the players on it, there is definitely names here that players will recognize if they've been peeping out the scene before.
Listen, pretty much almost everyone on this roster as well. You got Ange, you got Drones, like Precision for one as well. So for me, a name that really peaks out to me is Ange, just because I've seen this player play. They are an insane controller. And to be honest with you, I don't think there's ever a day or a game where I truly feel like they aren't performing. So for me, I'm really excited to see them play again.
I'm always going to be a fan of Drone when it comes down to seeing like the rise of this drone and under the TSM banner that has played so many different roles under TSM back when Valorant first came out. And I always wanted to see this man succeed. I think I've been following him since like the CS days as well. So it's just nice to see that he's still here fighting in VCL. He had an opportunity to do it with Mad Lions in the previous season over with Ange, if I'm not mistaken, and now has an opportunity to still fight VCL despite this playing under a free agency. That he still has a chance now to prove a point and hopefully get picked up. But I think it's also with the recent addition of Riku that joined the roster. I think for them, they are somebody that brings a lot to the table, because their experience was with DSG before, and I think it was more in, you know, like a VOD reviewing support type of like style to really help DSG build their playbook when Disguised Toast was investing into this team, into the tier 2 scene. And then when I think it was Exalt that took a little bit of a hiatus out of the roster of DSG, Riku was the one stepping up to the plate, and they were the ones actually having great rounds under, I think it was a Killjoy, and having huge impact rounds. So now they have an opportunity to come back to play in a professional level at tier 2, and they also have a chance to show what they got.
Which is exciting. It's exciting to see where players are coming from and all come together to form what could be these rosters to make these runs through. I know obviously Turtle Troop has had some changes on their end of things, but they were a team that was exciting to see last year. They had players kind of picked apart from them at some points. We got to see a couple of changes going through, but I think with the shifting we see here in Challengers, that it kind of pushes players to that next level, which I think is really fun and exciting here. And Gompers, looking at today's matchup, I mean, Turtle Troop, they had the spot from last time, is qualifying through. So this should just be interesting to see with how they're going to be stacking up and how they're going to be kicking off our week 1.
To be honest, how they're going to be kicking off in general, right? Turtle Troop haven't actually played any official tournaments ever since December. So they're not only coming into this I'm not going to say fresh, because they've been together for quite some time, but I will say they are kind of coming into this, deep diving into what a tournament setting is throughout their first year, 3 months of not playing. And not only that, the Glazers, they've played through open qualifiers. They've had their time to really figure out what the season's going to look like for them and what everybody else is going to start really feeling like playing against. But I will say Turtle Troop, regardless of that, super, super strong team. So even though they haven't had those 3 months of time to really indulge into that competitive setting, they also have been cooking up behind the scenes.
Yeah, and it's also a different roster too, right? They had, I think Dazzle was still in there, if I'm not mistaken, at some point too. So, and they were playing the Shangara Showdown. So, again, it's great additions. They've lost some great players in that roster, but they'll also gain some great players in the roster as well. So, I'm not afraid of what type of performance we're going to see of this team of Turtle Troop today, because I think they're still going to look very good. I think even when you're looking at that roster over at, I think it was B-Dog still in here at this point, and he basically started stepping up to the plate during the offseason, where, you know, it's kind of like on and off depending on the days, and if he was playing, like, I think it was a Brimstone or a Chamber on Vine or something, he was like kind of popping off against Sentinels. I always remember that type of B-Dog, and that type of B-Dog actually was showing up a little bit more during the offseason, and I think this is a great opportunity for him once again to have the revenge arc, basically very similar to what we saw from Penny, at least in that first series that we just casted before. And I just want to bring a small correction. I was just looking back at the stats. Riku was actually playing even controller for the role over at DSG when he had, when they had to fill in. So this is actually quite interesting to see what type of composition is going to come out of this team of Glazers. But I did predict them, not only because I love donuts, but also I feel that they have some good brains in there to at least put up a good fight. But my predictions have been sucking anyways.
Gompers knows all about that, let me tell you.
Don't talk about my predictions, please.
Oh, goodness. But hey, when we're looking ahead at this series, I mean, we've got to see a lot of, when we're looking at our map picks and bans, I'm going to clarify, we've seen a lot of a couple repeated things with teams really finding comfort in a certain kind of key maps here. So, yeah. It'll be Lotus once again. If you've been watching all the games, I don't know if you've just been loving the Lotus or if you're kind of the Lotus, but it is definitely, as we got to see in our previous series, a really good place to be testing out the core of these teams off the gate, Gomps, and that's going to be a pickup by Turtle Troop. Actually, this whole map is like reminiscent of what we got to see before. Hello?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And Gecko, please. I have my hands out and I'm begging for more. I would love to see what Turtle Troop honestly have been cooking on a map like this. And again, like Van said, this is kind of a new roster. So not only that, are we going to be able to see quite possibly a more, I wouldn't say aggressive Turtle Troop, because Turtle Troop from the start have been pretty firepower, but I am pretty excited to see what they've been cooking behind the scenes on a map like Lotus, especially to pick this out the gate is pretty strong.
Yeah, and especially against a team like Glazers, where they have some tape. At least they've been playing pretty much every single map during the open qualifiers too, just to test out a few different things. But
yeah,
they were also pulling KO out in their composition before. They do have that Gecko. We'll see if that comes out again. But I find that KO pick quite interesting in terms of not many players are really using it in their compositions right now, or many teams rather. But I think the knives would still be quite good to try to nullify a lot of that utility on Seaside. I haven't seen too much tape. I'll be honest with you. I haven't really seen the Glazers play on this map, so it'll be nice to learn as we go. But if they have some good knife setups to really cancel out the util for deniability and delays that you currently set up on the Seaside, I think this is a great recipe for flooding in sites with a KO. Usually when you think KO, you think fast pacing on executions.
I would be even intrigued just to see if there is still the KO that is a part of their comp at this point, how that could disrupt the other team there, because that is the disruption agent out of all things, right? But if you're not quite prepared for that and you have your certain setups that you want to be going for, I can see how one of those knives, one of those ults to kind of suppress and lock that down can be really detrimental for what the other team has planned, especially if you're not necessarily expecting that going into for week 1 of Challengers here. But you know, Gomps, I'm going to give you your one chance of redemption here. All right? Your predictions. I already came at you for them. I know you're getting some flack on Twitter for them. This is your one chance to redeem yourself right now.
Okay,
are you sticking with it, or are you picking the other box?
I'm gonna defend myself for a second. I truly believed in these people. Okay, the people that I listen. I believe in the underdog story, and sometimes when you're an underdog, you work harder. But I will say I did vote for Turtle Troop this time, and somebody told me to bet my whole mortgage on this on Twitter, so I will do that.
Okay. The double down here. I love it. Well, we definitely got a fun match ahead of you, Turtle Troop versus the Glazers, after this short break, so don't go too far.
Hey, what's up? Thank you guys for being so patient and waiting. But of course, we have a game ready for you. And getting into Lotus, I'm honestly pretty excited. I know it's been quite a while since we got to see Lotus. Actually, not so much, but yes, at the same time.
Yeah, we kind of just see it every freaking time. I think it's. Oh yes, there we go. We're seeing some different stuff. So Corey coming out with a neon. So this is going to be really fun to watch. This is going to be very explosive. This is going to allow me to wake up a little bit because there's going to be some pew-pews going on here with how fast we're going to go. And I think you're going to have to be as fast on defense as you are on the attack, especially for this type of like unloading of utility you're going to see on the extremities here on the defense from Corey and B-Dog together, which is, again, quite interesting. B-Dog not really fully playing a duelist role right now for the team and playing a little bit more of a flex at this point. So you could actually allow Corey, who's really, really good in terms of aim, to be the one carrying in that duelist role.
I also, man, I'm super excited to see the Neon. I know Neon is run pretty often on a map like Lotus. I just feel like we haven't seen it as much as we used to.
So not as often.
Listen. It was run. I guess the correct wording. I love your menacing laugh after you start problems too.
No, but I know what you mean. This was something I think that even Cloud9 tested out with Leaf on this role in the past, and like I think some other teams have cooked it up in LATAM. So it's nice to see a resurgence or a little bit of a flash in the pan, a diamond in the rough to see this agent come back. But yeah, there's also a reason why you're seeing a little bit less of this neon and a little bit more of like this raise as your main duelist. Is just the amount of space you're able to gain on top of doing damage with that. So we'll have to see. There's still great utility around what Corey has to be able to leverage this this neon. And we'll find that out right now because they're playing on defense. 3 players setting up on the B side, and that's where the Glazers are currently walking into.
Okay, exactly at head level, so they did assume somebody would be standing there looking for something. And just feeling confident with that. But that being said, B-Dog takes it right back, rips the hopes and dreams out of the hands of the Glazers. So that being said, trying to get yourself onto site, not going to be so easy. But Spike is there. They could pick any other site. Yeah.
And just to add on that too, Mini Boo's another one with the neon over at EMEA that's able to do a lot of damage with his relay bolts that we just saw Corey do. So the stuns that come out, and the reason why I like to have a little bit of copium and my turn of cook, I'm going to be a thinking man here at this point, is why I like a neon a little bit more as a initiator / duelist role at the same time, is because you could actually stun and run with your teammates for instant trade and space making. While when you have a breach instead, you're just staying behind to fault line and flash, and you don't really have an opportunity to go and follow your duelist to trade behind. So now you're adding more utility and bodies to really fight with aggression with a neon in your comp. And you saw a nice little combo from not only a creature with a neon from the aftershock with it as well. Now Corey's just getting ready for the lightning guns, the lightning fingers in round number 3, because he's farming so far in the second round.
Yeah, TTR planting the seeds of success within that 2-0 already. So, and you kind of have like that slight purchase of the Phantom being brought about, which, hand it over. To Corey. I'm not very surprised at this. I think Turtle Troop honestly just want to run by with a map like this one.
Yeah, it's going to ruin my predictions. I'm the only one out of all of us here as the talent and VCL that went for the Glazers, but so far, it's not looking good as TTR continues to push down. Well, that's what I'm talking about, right? The amount of util that you have. This is some great, what is it, Vision Strikers, Breach, Neon combination of bind that we currently see, but at least the Glazers are able to fight back with a little bit of grit.
Concealment.
They're going to be able to retake this spike, and Corey's low on HP, but we're already rotating out to guess that to rotate back from the Glazers is going to happen towards the A site.
And that all happened because of a 3rd round partial buy. Not only that, but like the cohesion there with the Omen, blinds, paranoia coming through is, beautiful, to be honest. You can see why they just qualified within the main event immediately.
Yeah, especially when you're looking at the bonus round that you have from TTR, the way they play that trap play to just make sure that you close the gap and use the lower weapons or just core with a phantom to get these kills and trades is perfect. Now TG are going to try to work together towards this C site. No util on Zachary. 1 star left for Ange where they could maybe play a suck on the post plan, but they're going to have to be on point.
Spike planted.
Okay,
Stars used for spawn.
Yeah.
They have to play inside here. They're not going to play outside of mound. It's not planted for them. They want to stay inside.
Probably best bet too. Corey is not looking too hot at this point. I think here, this is where the risky part happens. Nobody knows where Ange is. Perfect time for them to get that 2K in, and Stellar attempting to save her. Or at least save the round. To try to get themselves something more. But of course, at least it was a partial buy. There's not much really at risk in a round like this one.
Yeah, but that's a huge play by Ange no matter what. It's a 2 versus 4, and Ange is able to get a 4K in the round to salvage this type of craziness that we just saw coming out of TTR. You saw also that Ange tried to adapt on the fly. Whenever there was that stun and relay bolt that came through on the attack for, at least on the attack for the defensive side of TTR, an instant star was placed down by Ange. You got to be quick to be able to put those stars down to try to counteract against that util coming out from TTR. So he's definitely ready to play this round for this game.
Already tons of util just being expended to try to counteract the play that happened. Fault line came in a bit too early, and now Terrell left alone down towards back. So having a fight there, Soft does a good job at doing it. The Glazers, hey, maybe hope is not all gone yet, fans. It seems like they're still fighting back and doing a hell of a job doing so, leaving Adder by themselves, and Adder's lurking. Nobody knows where Adder is at this point.
The util's been good and on point for every single one of these pieces of utility from both teams. The star has been perfect for a double stun at the tree. The counter stuns out from TTR, and then it came down to whoever caught a timing off these trades, and it's off the quickness of TTR to start. But at least, as you mentioned, they were able to fight back with those players back on that A side, allowing Zachary to lurk around and push forward and drop Adder.
Take what's yours here.
Zachary.
One of my cameras is broken.
Closing out the round, 2-2.
Okay.
I mean, the Glazers fighting back, I feel like there in that moment, really, a lot of that was just, the beginning of the round. It always works out in favor, too, of TTR the first couple seconds. And then somehow the Glazers just take it back.
And it's coming down, too, to this type of composition that you have in the Glazers as well. So this is just great util that you don't necessarily have to always use flashes to clear towards rubbles. But those stars are going to be very good to counteract against the TP and satchel. No satchels, just a TP that you may have from Weeded on the top of Rubble, where even now at a 2-2 scoreline, Turtle Trooper just on an eco. 3-4 Sheriffs, Finger Blaster for Corey. And they're pushing forward here, A-side control.
They want to work up. Is watching like a hawk, especially now with the util they can use to keep this round intact. Though wall bangs coming through to create that sense of damage. TTR backing themselves off.
And I realize the aggression coming out from the A side, therefore you might be a little bit more turtled up for TTR down towards the C side, so they just want to take advantage of that and definitely get rated perfectly here for the Glazers.
That's a spike, Wings.
Okay. I mean, at this point, at least they cleared the backside before they used the wingman. It's working out for the best, though. TTR looking to play that defensive game, but it seems like regardless, even with this amount of pressure being applied, on the defense, it still feels so individual.
It's really hard to try to come in from 2 different angles with less util to try to reach that side on C when you have only shares to work with. So you're hoping to get lucky with these shots, and at least that was the silver lining for Turtle Troop. They had individual 1v1s that they could have fought because they weren't really playing trades for the Glazers. The Glazers. But that said, them losing that round for TTR and getting a gun round into this one, you're already starting a very early swing round for both of these teams. Even though on the attack you could buy in the next round no matter what, there's a lot of heavy ultimates right now that we can see another chess game going in round number 6. Once again, TTR trying to add a little bit more pressure on defense on the B site, thinking that they could trap around a scale up on the B site because of potentially Riku trying to get a Thrash info from a B ult. But instead, Glazers are still holding back towards the spawn. Zachary is still working solo towards the C mount. At some point, this is going to have to be identified too on the defense for TTR. But they don't have to worry about that for now. They've won 3 rounds in a row. What they're currently working on is working in their favor.
You want to
Here's
fight
the
it?
initiation on B.
Yeah, they've brought the Thrush back so they can get a second chance here. Maybe lurks these players. But the Glazers pretty comfortable in their decision at actually luring out a rotation towards B.
And B-Dog has a rolling thunder on top of that. Might use it right away. Boom.
Oh yeah, it works out perfectly too. Gives Corey some leeway and pushing themselves onto the site. Patron just behind. Takes that one out. The Glazers finding themselves some sort of retake.
But they don't have Spike.
Yeah, Spike not down. The drone might actually be able to create a clearing. It doesn't do anything. No damage or anything. So it's up to Zachary to try to push themselves onto the site with Riku, but of course,
One enemy
got a lot to
remaining.
play with here.
Last
Riku does a
player
good job at
standing.
eliminating one. So the 1v1's one out. The 1v1 here, taken away by Adder. So a 3K to finish out the round. TTR, they're back up.
Oh, that could have been everything if Drone actually hit the showstopper. It looks like he was trying to go for a direct contact onto Adder on top of the A heaven, and unfortunately it just squeezed by and there was no damage done, allowing Adder to still win high ground against Riku. When you saw the combination, it was a huge swing round for the amount of ults that came through. That back in favor, despite the neural theft on the attack of Zachary, getting that information, they couldn't capitalize the last piece of util coming out from Drone. And unfortunately, throws one from his old teammates, a Rosa ult.
Yeah, aggressive push is coming out through A pretty frequently, so I do like the cam.
Yeah, it's just trying to watch passively on any type of like, trying to listen to any type of util that can be done early right now towards the A side. No pressure. The lurk is solo up on B.
Oh, Zachary. The
think you got
timing
the
of that is immense. Even then, they still weren't able to get it, but straight through door, flash takes out. Corey still attempting to fight this back. TTR, you'd think they had a good plan in action, but unfortunately it seems there's way too many players just set up down in C main. Yeah.
Wingman's planting.
Way too many players on the C mountain and not enough players on the C site. If you're trying to take control in front of that B that I've mentioned before, you're trying to do a little bit more of a pivot with this type of
One enemy remaining.
threat. So you're getting on a map like Lotus. There's a lot less teams on defense that are running like a flood of utils on the A side rubble control. They're trying to take C and B control so you can pinch back in that area. But we'll hold that thought. Stellar might be able to clutch this here.
Where are you?
Oh, this is huge too.
Bring me down.
One enemy
Good
remaining.
timing. Guardian only does so much. One tap needed to the head with 5 health left. They can't miss a shot. Seems like they will answer the right click to clear things up, but yeah. The Glazers looking a lot better than they did the first couple rounds.
Yeah, it's definitely going back and forth at this point. But as I was trying to finish the point there, getting control in that B side is actually quite huge, especially for a breach in your lineup. That flash is beautiful to open up towards the door, but you have a little bit less to crossfire back all the way from the wooden ramp or the front C site to really pinch those players for a bigger trap play over onto the Glazers on that mound. So losing that piece of utility or that piece of body to help out on that crossfire was unfortunately too difficult there for TTR to really hold that defense and even allow for them to get the retake on that C site. So they have to go back into another eco. It's something they're going to have to refocus next time, that if they want to try to go for that trap play, maybe you need to have the fade with you on that C site and hold the A site solo with the Cypher instead. So you could add a little bit more utility if you have less players on that C site. That said, TG, a pivot from A to C site. Orb control potential for Riku as they could get a thrash out of that. And it looks to be very quick right now for TG. Probably just want to get a wingman plant and activate these thrash bolts.
I think biggest thing here too is, yeah, Turtle Troop just have so much to play with in this round alone as well. Ultimate after ultimate neural theft to give away as to where these players might be, but B-Dog down. Especially now, no utility allowed to be used, so they can't even use the Nightfall. They need to push themselves in.
Yeah, you're not going to use it with the lower buy that you have, especially with the bodies that you lost to. You're just trying to catch them as they're trying to scale up and position themselves on a post plant, and then maybe use a Nightfall after that if you're able to get a couple of kills. But with those players falling down quite early and nobody was really playing inside the site when TG was executing towards the C site, just trying to do some econ damage here. Works out for a bit. There's only 3 players left alive, and Drone low on HP. Almost could have had that one on Drone. But he gets a 4K instead, and a chance for redemption for another rocket very soon.
Round 2. Interesting. This might be, honestly, best time to start using those ultimates now as well. I mean, with a reign of terror that we continue to see out of the Glazers, and now especially, I'm afraid of that Thrash, too, coming through from Riku, because that's going to do a lot of damage.
Yeah, thankfully for Turtle, they're moving more towards the C side, so that Thrash is not going to do much to start. Although it is allowing them to scale up into a potentially an A site open site. But Stellar is even backing up towards Heaven, as they've given that up fully.
Oh, beat off. And Zachary saw him too before he shot. Unfortunate thing was reaction time not too quick to it.
Yeah. And there you go. They identified that, right? You didn't need a timeout to do that for TTR. They know that Zachary has been pushing and lurking on the C site all the time. And instead of trying to just use util on that C site, being wasted on the C site hold from Adder, they just put a body. Now they can ult to get information. They even ult to stall them back. And then they'll stall them even more into a B split with these triples.
And it's beautiful. Both at the same time, the paranoia comes in to try to preoccupy, or not preoccupy, just blind anybody else that might be going in for some sort of refract potential. Seems like there now, Rikyo can't do anything. And, I mean, one trip just caused a whole entire eruption of emotion.
Yeah, I mean, losing that fight from Zachary with the lurk on the C site was everything, because Adder did everything from A to Z to be the win con for Turtle Troop. That ult got all that information. The Nightfall pushes them back. The combination that you had from that paranoia on the first trip from We Did allowed pretty much everybody to get assists there on the attempt of a split from TG into the site. So I love that this is going on very well. I love that this is happening off the fly in these calls, and that's the beauty of Stellar IGLing and his experience that he could call for the team.
Watch out! Slight discourse already happening though. The smoke propped up. Try to give some space, but it seems like here a bit too aggressive.
Spike down A.
And I mean, the Glazers don't really need to push this hard, but just continue to do so. Still, they're 3 players. 3v3, and Riku now looking for blood to gain some sort of space to allow the sentry in.
And they do so. And Zachary on top of that with the hat. So they now notice that TTR has passed. Back drone with an attempt. Redemption, connection. Adder falls, and a plant comes in for TG. And now Corey's alone.
Yeah, ending things off. In a great fashion, honestly. The Glazers, they were going pretty hard.
This goes here.
When it came to those first couple seconds. I was a bit worried, especially with Ange getting taken down so early with that one single swing. But at the end of the day, they had enough players to really pull through.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of playing a map like Lotus. Whenever you're losing players, but you're able to push and force rotates on one end and keep them turtle back into that A site because of that hat, it allows for you to realize that the B site, it's an easy pivot. Taking control of these extremities is also very important for these doors. They tried to go for a trap play at the beginning. You saw the concuss that was being pulled out. And then the satchel's out from drone to punish towards the C main. It's a stalemate. It allows TG to pick up an orb and rework the map. They haven't really pushed up, though, for the A side for Zachary. He's just been in the camera the whole time, and it confirms that they could just re-clear rubble without using util, allowing them for them to have more for the A site hit.
Trip's still there. Oh, and actually catches this out. I wasn't expecting them to not really see, or at least think about the trip that was presented there. But drone down towards the backside, aggressive by themselves. Kind of leads TTR to getting these free picks, but how well is that going to work out? I mean, you've lost the duelist now at this point. Getting onto the site's going to be difficult through the smoke. Corey, luckily enough, gets away. Way too much. Oh, smoke dissipation. There goes Ange, luckily. Having a good understanding that they need to be watching this, and I mean, somehow with the judge finding the next B-Dog 2v1 situation. Ange is it. Only 1 star left available. They could play for that gravitational pull, but seems like not. B-Dog clearing things up with the judge.
That was so nice by Turtle Troop in the end. I love this so far that we said it was going to be a fast-paced game, and it definitely is because of all this utility that's going in from both ends. And it's a different type of pace that you're getting from both. I mean, they're still quite quick, but different utility to do that, right? So you have on one end lots of rolling thunders, fault lines, and stuns with dashes, or like you're running high gear on Corey, and on the other end, you're running stars, stuns, and flashes with a KO to disrupt utility and run behind that through satchels. I love that this is just a headbutt, a clash of 2 different types of playstyles, but still ends up being a huge bloodbath of exchange of utility, and always down to these last moments. Like 1 or 2 players make it out alive in these engagements every single time, and not more than that. And that's a beautiful entry to start things off for TG, to drop Stellar over on the C site.
The jiggle peek with the ult. Oh, Corey is like, they're just looking for somebody to take down, but it doesn't matter. They have so much information already leading towards the A site. The spike going down as well. So all they need to do is play these extremities. They have so much to utilize. The star is already placed down as well.
And less here for TTR. They only have smokes really and a flash to try to get back in the site, and they know that this is an outside play from TG because of this star place.
Pulling them in.
Thankfully, to tap right away wastes that suck.
You're nothing.
There goes the first. B-Dog managing to find Riku on that lurk. Now they're taking out almost everybody they can. You'd think that working out the extremities would work, but I think TTR were planning for this regardless. They knew that with that Astra, this is exactly the type of positioning they were going to go for.
And you end the half at 6-6. It was a nice read from both ends, a nice little bait from TG. Whenever they got that pick on the C side, the door opened, you saw that flood of util once again coming out from TTR over towards that door, which allowed the plant to go down, to rotate over from TG over at the A site. But again, I love that Turtle Troop. They didn't try to like, oh, protect me. There's a suck coming. Let's just play our angles and cover the spike. They just kept pushing down towards the tree. They opened a door. They fight back. They still used B-Dog's utility to clear out the even rubble and the BB door. So TG now playing on the defense. I think they're going to have to start expecting the amount of util that's going to come out of TTR in these executions. It's going to get very, very bloody on this half as well.
Shutting them down.
They switched. I mean, there goes first punishment though. Drone peeking out very, very early. Let's pick out a mid fight. There was some sort of backup there, but unfortunately not really connecting in time.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what they were trying to do behind there, because Ainge didn't use any of his util yet. And Joel just satcheled around the corner trying to catch somebody off guard when there's still 3 players around B. So I don't know what info they were trying to get, or what info they got for him to satchel across. And unfortunately, that makes a 5-on-4 situation in the favor of TTR much more difficult for TG to win this pistol round. At least he got 4 ghosts.
Kate, I must wait a moment.
Honestly, I feel like with drone down, it's going to make things a little bit easier. They still do have a suppression to be thrown out by precision. Not that utility is going to be too big of an issue here, especially with the damage being made. Majority of it with the pistol alone. Now there goes precision's location. They're just seen. They're hurt. Corey shuts it down. Now TTR, they find that first lead in the second half.
And it just became that, losing that player early and thinning your defense now, and just forced a jump spot for Zachary on top of the staircase, and realizing that You've lost all control of that A site middle. You can't really flank behind because you've lost that middle pressure. TTR was just able to win that round quite easily. And now B-Dog is trying to fault line towards the C side to allow Cordy to just dash up. So they will try to punish towards the C site. And on the other end, though, it's a Dizzy
Where are you?
to try to counteract.
I'm out of here. This way.
Double flash, too.
Yeah.
Suppressing.
They back off, rightfully so. I mean, the amount of util that's just been expended to the extremities are kind of insane. Zachary in such a good position. Nobody knows they're there, and somehow managing to find one. Despite that, I mean, a great fight to win out with a pistol.
Oh, for sure. And now you're separating the push. That's a beautiful star. Drone gets a headshot with the classic as well. And now they pivoted across. I mean, this could still be a round for TTR no matter what. But TTR has to sweat for this round.
Oh, I think they might. Stellar knows he's low. Stellar knows all they need is a push to come through, but Rico comes around the back, and it's beautiful. At least this time keeping the Glazers in the game just a little bit longer. Yes, they have a Spectre against maybe what is a Bulldog and a Vandal. Oh, no, and I don't like this. The positioning here is brutal. Riku stuck just in the middle of that, somehow finding it. Maybe this might be the time. The mosh pit still readily available. Or know what to do. Adder and peeking around the angle and leaving this 1v1, but B-Dog does shut it down.
Nicely done by the Glazers no matter what. And Zachary was the first one, perma contact, that actually allowed TG to just really have TTR so focused and tunnel vision on pivoting elsewhere to get a plant down that everybody got shot from behind every single time. That was beautifully done in the end. But you can definitely see here the value of having this KO and a Gecko together for TG. Expect these to happen a lot more now that they have money to work with and util money to work with. These Dizzy flashes to confirm information is huge right now. Nemash early towards C main.
Crash is ready.
Okay, Riku. With a nice angle to hold. And that was good. And pretty much was that distraction. Sometimes baiting your teammate is what works best.
And just smile. You're a kind of camera. 3 players walking in while you're even going to invest into your Thrash. There's that first one detained, but Adder's still into sight.
Oh, okay. Adder's been
2.
crazy with the Sheriff. Second one already coming down. That's got to be beautiful. No theft as well, just to add on icing to the cake. They're not going to be able to get the third, though. Flash coming in a bit too aggressively there. It seems like Stellar, regardless of the run and gun, can't seem to find the shots either. But a nice 2K, regardless from Adder.
That would have been so nice at some point if that haunt actually that pinged both of the players forced Stellar to actually fall back into the B side, because I don't think that they saw that player down towards that C ramp.
That goes there.
For TTR that made it through, so maybe that could have allowed here a backstab to happen, but nonetheless, you still made things very expensive here for Turtle Troop.
Yes.
Oh, sorry, for TG. So this is a great little bonus that still ended up in your favor in the end, despite having all that information from a camera set up by Zachary. Satchel across. The haunt, he still gets the kill.
Oh no, and you've already lost Corey. Turtle Troop wanted that initiation, honestly, pretty badly. They were just looking for a pick. Seems like they got picked instead.
They have to pivot back because they got picked. So that was a nice little off angle by Drone to avoid the fault line from B-Dog. That's forcing now for them to try to break that util. You saw the amount of sprays that was going in towards that B main, and they always missed it from that smoke placed up by Ange. So this is a great piece of util at the minute mark to know if this gets broken later on, that there is a lean towards B and the A site. TG may be ready for this right now, but we'll definitely see it with the camera. Another ready.
Oh, they don't know?
Camera
Zachary has so much info.
Cage triggered.
Despite that. Okay, yeah, the camera was taken out, but now we got a huge rotation coming through from the Glazers, and they're ready to fight Dizzy. Available for Riku. They just need to get past Adder at this point, and they have. Yeah. It's not working out, honestly, for the Glazers. Not for the Glazers, for TTR.
Yeah.
B-Dog is just in mid. And yeah.
Sorry, and that's why he's playing towards that mid, because he's trying to support his team while they could break that baby door and go back towards B. But because they didn't break that trip towards B main, he couldn't really break it to give his position away to help out the rest. So that plan was spoiled. Utility, everything was still great. Again, it's the Cypher so far from Adder and Zachary. The utility that they have is really helping out the defensive side of both of these teams. You got to give some props to these two.
30 seconds.
Oh, pretty good. Man. And all it takes is Riku just to rip that away from you, too. With a gnarly 2K coming out through... just through A, but... Yeah, it seems like pretty heavy push on the defense.
There.
On A, that's going to give some pretty good early info.
Go, go, go.
And try once again. This time, maybe they're just going to let loose, because the fault line's already ripped out. They got the dash forward, but unfortunately,
Ready.
they couldn't punish anybody there. They forced out a cage at least to start things off for TG and to get an orb.
Blocking vision.
I mean, a nice catch on the lurk, so Adder gets taken down. That lack of information as to whatever's going on. I think they just wanted more of that control. Not going to be given away, though. Flash just about. And the Glazers looking for more. Showstopper alongside Ange getting a disgusting shot through the wall. Looking for something more. The wingman, making their way out. Doesn't seem like it's going to work too heavily, though. It doesn't necessarily stun anybody. Out through the sideways, though, comes Jerome. And the Glazers not really struggling too hard to retake the site. Seems like the site honestly wasn't taken in the first place. TTR way too long to gain control.
Unlucky that could have been a nice two-piece instead of a one-piece there on his retreat from the C site. But, I mean, look at him. B-Dog somehow is always assisting Corey, yet still drops 20 so far in a breach. Maybe he doesn't need to play Duelist after all. This man's able to do it all now, from Brimstone to Chamber to Breach, and still put numbers up. Like I said, they found a good redemption arc, and it goes back to what Adder is saying. This is a different level up of Turtle Troop that we're seeing this split. And despite them losing by 1, though, overall, it still becomes some great utility being used, and I'm impressed by what I'm seeing so far by Turtle Troop. As much as I'm impressed to see what Turtle Troop has been cooking up, I'm also impressed of what the Glazers have been doing to adapt on the fly. This is very similar to what happened in that previous series where you had Thingy Men pull out this crazy combo against YFP on Icebox, and the IGLs had to be on point every single time. So you have to also commend how the Glazers have been adapting to this full piece of utility combination that's been coming out of this roster you see here on the screen.
Yeah, both sides putting in the work. Glazers 3 in a row went out. Most of them really just being from picking off TTR before they even advance onto the site. Not only that, when they are on the site, finding that struggle to even plant the spike.
Mosh pit.
Yeah.
Rare moments where they're using util to really prevent any type of pushes coming out on the A side. That's understandable because you could definitely just explode out of the A main control if you wanted to for TTR. And the knife also really only got We Did, though. And We Did could be that type of Viper lurk that you don't have in your composition here for TTR, instead of being Adder lurking on the A side. So that's why for TG, they're like, oh, maybe they're going to pivot towards the C side, and Riku rotates out, and this gives an opportunity for Turtle Troop to disrupt the defensive hold here from TG that's set up on a 2-1-2 now.
You have the Rolling Thunder from B-Dog. Actually, great takeaway. Seller gets first pick off Drone. So now they've given away that space. They're going to be able to collect that. Pretty nice and easy down towards the A site. Now all they need to worry about is the outskirts, which works out perfectly. If they feel as though things are getting out of hand, B-Dog readily available. Some sort of counter to that precision. Nice move shots. They've taken up the one. Rolling Thunder now expending itself. But Zachary safe. At least at this point, they haven't really taken too many players into that Rolling Thunder regardless, but it's Corey to fight back. At least 2 players now. They're finding some sort of difficulty for Bullet Clip. And the reload comes in. Around the back comes Adder, but it's Zachary to keep it.
Last player
Now at least the 2v2 situation. Corey not letting things go with the fault line to take. Doesn't take too much. Oh, the crosshold. They know Ange is slowly working themselves up.
Obscuring vision.
Oh no, this is just, it's impossible. A crosshold, Big L, there's so many angles to watch, and at this point, Ange just putting themselves in the middle.
Corey has been so annoying so far, and it looked very
VCT
doable for the Glazers on that retake, though, because despite them having a bad read of where the hit was coming from Turtle Troop, Zachary's retake with the hat was everything and all the information needed for the Glazers to start setting up for their retake. Yet, unfortunately, by the time Zachary rotated over to the A, sorry, not Zachary, but their teammates rotated over to the A site. Unfortunately, I think it was Ange. Yes, definitely Ange. Unfortunately, all of his teammates fell down. So I think at this point, I'm loving this now. You're having your KO in the middle. You're having your Gecko on the C site. And you have your Zachary playing the Cypher on the A site. So you now have opportunities to get active information on all three sites to try to at least try to go some sort of a trap and then have a better retake. Because the retake's been pretty good so far when they have numbers for TG.
Spike planted.
The silence. Coming through from Corey. Oh, they could hit pretty heavily here. They know at least. Now they're trying to gain that entry through stairs, and we did with a beautiful blind. Doesn't actually play off the dissipation of the smoke coming in quick, but still, regardless, we did. He tried to find one. Didn't work out.
Enemy remaining.
And it's Adder to take away. At least the cleanup happening from TTR, and it's drone.
One enemy remaining.
Left alone with a slow work up down towards site from B-Dog.
Impressive wiring.
Does not help out too much, but halfway through. Yeah, Drought looking to collect that defusal, but it's B-Dog to clean up.
And the Glazers at this point, there's one small tweak that they could do to start capitalizing on these retake plays, is actually combining, once again, the Gecko with the KO. They're able to get some nice little tricks and to get information when they're trying to pinch towards that the C push. But when it comes down to that retake towards the site, you had precision, on the top of A Heaven, and then the Gecko actually trying to dizzy outside of staircase. So that gets easily shot. That gives your position away. You have players that are playing further back that on the attack that could just play the off angles and execute you. So being able to combine that a little bit more will really literally blind their opponents and get information on top of that and allow for the fundamental trades to come out a little bit more cleanly for the Glazers at this point. So far, though, I think that's the main thing that they need to tweak on their retakes. But if not, on how they're finally trying to get information on these extremities is totally fine from how they're positioned.
Deep in thought for the Glazers. Man. It's crazy, too, because, again, we did briefly talk about Turtle Troop coming into this, nobody necessarily knowing what they were even bringing to the table. And I think Glazers is doing a really good job at actually being able to handle all of this, right? With the Neon coming through from Corey, super aggressive plays and whatnot.
Definitely. And now the timeout is more for round number 21, where technically Turtle Troop should be taken away and continue to lead by 2 this round because of a broken buy from TG. But this timeout, super important for the Glazers. It also shows the difference that you have in terms of the coaching staff. Despite this being a free agent team for the Glazers, they actually have Danimal as a coach to help him out. Previously coaching XSET, the XSET Game Changers roster, and they also have Demeanor as an assistant coach, while for Turtle Troop, they only have Stellar. And when they only have Stellar and they're trying to min-max a little bit for TG, it allows Riku to get their first pick here against Adder with an outside spot against the peak of Adder. So the lurk is gone. They repeat for a second attempt. Do a little bit of damage, but unfortunately, finally, they get punished.
Cover going out.
They pretty much committed to that fight, too. So Riku goes down, so does Ange and Drone. Now you just gotta, yeah. This point, too, with Zachary was like slowly working into C, and then all of a sudden your team is down. And you're like, okay, well, can't do much there.
I love how Stellar was aiming for the person rotating from Waterfall and then clothesline another one just running by. And now with the Bucky from Zachary.
Spike planted.
out, rotated at least from the baby door. They know that Corey plays the C site, so Corey went all the way around. Actually, he has a Vandal now. Thought he had a bucket at the beginning. Could potentially get a good backstab here.
Oh.
One enemy remaining.
On stairs, too! And that was beautiful. Such a good spray transfer, but unfortunately we did. Oh my gosh, keeping themselves secret.
Literally, they did not expect a third player playing to bait out the other two, thinking that the last player was potentially focusing towards B main here. Unfortunate there, but a good win for TTR. And as I said, I almost cast a curse Turtle Troop at that point. I said that technically they should get this round because you have such a crap buy for the Glazers, yet it was almost very doable there with Zachary in the end, so you can't really discount him. Where, by the way, Zachary gets to play against his counterpart over Corey on the other end. Hold that thought. This is an important gun round in round number 21. Big ults here. I see a resemblance of that first half where everybody's just going to explode with ults.
Throwing the Prowler out. It seems like Corey's going to be the first to get taken out. Zachary playing the Sentinel role to a T. So not only that, they've backed themselves off, and now they also have the information as to who's on site.
Zachary is so nerdy with these cameras. He never pings out his opponents, but has cameras in positions where he could actually read one or two, ping it out at least manually for his team to know that it's committed towards this site. And they're playing full retake here, allowing a chance for Drone to move up and help for the team.
They can't do anything about it. Outer gets completely stunned, and now it seems like the Glazers moving themselves up onto the site. But it's up to Weeded to try to reel things back in, and not going to be able to do so, though. The Glazers, luckily enough, winning out this round, because if not, that would have been another 2 rounds, quite possibly under the belt of TTR.
Yeah, and now you have a beautiful combination of the double null command and the thrash to retake the site, and Drone was one away from the ult. So now they give that defuse over to the Glazers. Drone has an ult this time around for retake capabilities once again, and they have a neural theft to work with still from that previous round. This has shifted over to a point where TG could use another cycle of ultimates to tie up the game 11-11, although they may not need to use it as Turtle Troop are the ones that are at a lower buy. So their objective right now on the attack is to be able to flush out that showstopper in this round right here.
And that they might just be able to do. It is going to take some time, though, trying to find the correct moment.
Yeah. I mean, you can see it. They're just spraying, shooting classics, TPing, making a lot of noise, being like, hey, come at me, use your rocket. And they are.
Oh, they've
instantly stunned, and he's stuck in a tree with a rocket, and a paranoia pushes him away. Dude, that's a big W. That's a huge W. So Riku, they had enough. They push out towards B-Main and kill B-Dog.
That's not feeling too good, though. Okay, now Tether actually doing some of the work, but yeah, regardless, pistols. Either way, I mean, still managing to collect some of the picks there, which is surprising enough. 2 Vandals on the side of A. Oh, and they didn't even communicate there, so the ultimate is gone.
Now Zachary is in another situation where it's doable, though. Weedit's 5 HP. Both of them no armor. Zachary's just got to be on point with the shots.
There is a possibility. We did as low. Realistically speaking, this should be a 1-shot body shot on the side of Zachary. Of course, no noise heard. This is great.
One enemy remaining.
Managing to pick out the one. This should be around that Zachary can run away with, but the timing working in favor of Weedit.
Weedit is also insane. This guy's always lurking in the shadows, being a person that you don't really talk about throughout the other rosters that continues to come through of like, oh yeah, this player's good, this player is good, but Weedit has always been very, very good under the controller role. And at 5 HP is able to clutch a 1v1. And not only that, was the person that was able to get 2 kills on the Guardian solo on the A site to allow this plant to happen for TTR. So now not only did Turtle Troop on a lower buy on a Thrifty were able to waste the showstopper of Drone, they win the round on top of that. So now for the rest of the Glazers, yes, they still have a great buy this time around. But if they lose players in the process, let's say 2 and 3 in their victory, you still have map point for TTR, for Turtle Troop, where you may have a much lesser buy for the Glazers. So once again, you're calling your second time out, your last time out of the map here for Danimal, and you're hoping to get something done with this.
Yeah, but hope only goes so far. The Glazers
Only dangles on a string.
Yeah. It's like you're
Slow
running
spinning
on
redemption.
a treadmill
Yeah.
and there's a chicken wing in front of you, but it's attached to a string. You know what I'm saying? Okay, that's definitely not.
I don't know what definition of hope that is, but I'll ride with it, I guess.
It'll eventually we'll start to understand that. But the round beginning again. TTR. And Core's looking for something big. Of course, getting shut down by drone this early on, man, that's gotta suck. And again, that was gonna be such a huge entry if they could have run away with something. But a refrag. Left down to Stellar, yeah. And also Prowler still readily available to the backside. Yeah, Precision, there's no way they can manage to fight this back.
Now the plant comes in, players are too far away. Cosmic Divide's not going to do too much unless it comes down to maybe 2 players left as they attempt a retake. And look how slow we're moving for Zachary. They think that the attack's pushing towards spawn. So everybody's just turtled into sight. The Dizzy has to be thrown very soon to get info here.
Oh, Adder's hiding.
Huge.
There was so much to utilize there with the util alone. The Glazers just don't care about space. And they're actually going to take up a lot of TTRs.
They actually just timing a Dizzy to just swing into every angle that they were coming from in the end. From the Cosmic Divide wall, at the staircase, and the top of A Heaven, and hit in 3 instant drops in favor of the Glazers. Where this shouldn't have happened. Look at these swings. Everybody was in perfect positions for Turtle Troop to at least have some sort of a trade. But when you have 3 players dying instantly the way that they did, where can you look for that trade? Beautifully done for TG. Look at this money now for Turtle Troop. They're once again in shambles in their economy, although they still won the round last time that they had a similar buy. But Turtle Troop, or should I say the Glazers, have a perfect opportunity to push this into overtime.
That they might do. This is probably, not even probably, this is the most important round for TTR. So the way they handle the pressure from the Glazers is pretty much a telltale as to how this round is going to go. Precision's trying to cut off any sort of choke point. It seems like Corey making their way first hand with a stinger. I don't know if going up the stairs is going to be the best bet. Yep. Especially now with Thrash slowly working its way back up. Not going to be able to recollect it though. Drone eliminating Stellar, so the initiator gone. At this point, it really is just a game of if Corey can find Drone. Yep, before they find him. It doesn't matter. Found out Riku making the calls to get themselves onto the site, and no util to be used, and it's we did down towards the front site to find something else, and maybe the next up to this 2v1 situation. And if they can hold on just long enough, it will be done, but it's we did to shut it down. And a 3K to end off. TTR, they found themselves at 13-11.
I told you, we did in these moments somehow is just like the type of player that can understand where his opponents is going to be swinging from, where his opponents are going to be swinging from, and he can just turn around and instantly win these 1v1s all the time. They had great util once again for the Glazers for the retake, but we did, using his own smoke on the A site, just wins the round and wins the map here for the team of TTR. That was super nice. I was hoping to see an overtime because both teams were definitely cooking there. But you know what? We'll have to see it on the next map.
I was hoping to see it too. I'm not gonna lie to you. I did want to see more just because of the fact that the Glazers were really putting in the work, and I was interested to see how they were gonna handle that back and forth within the defense and the attack. But of course, we do have another map. It's not over just yet. We'll be getting right back to that right after this short break.
I think it would just prove to ourselves that we deserve to be there. Our team has played together, like 2 of us on different teams in the past. but never like of this 5, or I had just met like 3 of these guys. So I think it meant a lot, specifically because we built the team to have fun and not just like to be like the best team. And like we wanted to make sure we had 4 guys that we actually like playing with. And so making it in Challengers was kind of a big deal because it proved that we can make a team that we enjoy being in and also be pretty good.
What sets us apart is I feel like a lot of teams don't enjoy playing like together or like having fun at all when they play the game. And I think we have like a very good environment in practice and just in games. And I feel like everybody's like just enjoys being around each other and likes to like make jokes and just have a good time. And we also like do get serious, and we have like the structure, and we put in time to like actually like make like setup strategies and all that. So I think we have like a good balance of enjoyment and seriousness that I think a lot of teams, even like tier 1 like signed teams that I've been on, have not been able to like actually cultivate. So I think that's something special on this team.
Poking their head out of the sand first. Riku unchecked, but no shots landed. Drone will finish off Yeji. That's the easy part. Pyro on this Sheriff is the dangerous part, providing the cover fire, catching Fireball first, wasting the time on the spike, but can't do it forever. Fireball holding it down.
I think we're probably going to be pretty overlooked, especially because like our Challengers run, like I said, wasn't like the most clean. Definitely didn't like 2-0 everybody going into the going into Challengers. So we might get overlooked as like, oh, you know, they're not like the best. But I think when we're playing really well and at our peak, like we're insane. So yeah, probably overlooked. And then I think people can expect fun games, like really like intense matches. I feel like a lot of our matches are, I don't want to say back and forth as in like, you know, we use momentum or something like that, but I feel like a lot of our matches, they're just like really insane moments, like people just pop off and like we do some really cool plays. So I think like the matches will just be entertaining when we're on the screen.
I think in scrims, we've shown enough so that people don't think that we're like completely bad. Like people know that we can, you know, show up and play our game. So I don't think people are going to sleep on us. At least I hope not. But in terms of what we can expect, we're doing like a comms video that's coming out pretty soon. We're trying to make content. We're trying to be funny. We're trying to be cool. We're trying to integrate ourselves into the community a little bit, kind of like Turtle Troop did.
Open crossfire enabled. Drone. Good for one. Catching them off guard. The Odin falls. Never mind. No paper mache.
I guess to the people that know like me and know the characters that I play and how my style throughout the game are, you're probably going to be surprised when you see us play, is basically what I'll say. Because yeah, it'll be different. You're not going to expect what you'd expect from me this season, I think.
The fans, thanks for watching Challengers. You know, it's been kind of a rough off season, and any fan that's watching, I appreciate that. Even if you're rooting against us, if you're watching the game, thank you. And to the other Challengers teams, good luck. Honestly, I think Challengers is going to be kind of tough this season, especially with like M80 and Oxygen. I do think we're going to surprise some people. Everyone in Challengers, I think we're a lot better than people realize. Good luck, everybody.
Have a chance, more than a chance. They have the sight too. Zachary's got to spray it down, keep the lineup going, but running out of bullets has to switch back to the Ghost, and he's the only one left, but it matters not.
face.